Hello everyone, I'm Brian, and welcome back to part 2. So let's go ahead and get started. It seems like, she came back. I guess it was dressed differently.
So, Mr. Lakhani,
No
we're
CC,
going
by
to
the
be
way.
continuing our talks on spirituality, faith, personal development, ways that we could transform our lives in a positive way and better ourselves. So today I have a question for you, and this question is about there are lots of people out there who are ambitious. They have a purpose in life. They want to be active. They have certain dreams that they wish to fulfill. Yet they could also be interested in the world of spirituality and walk the spiritual path. Now, how do these people balance their lives where you can bring in ambition and at the same time have spiritual growth?
You see,
That's, Dandapani actually said about this. Do everything, just start off slowly at one thing at a time. Be devoted to your work, or just devotion in general, or karma. Actually, it seems a lot of people tend. I heard from Swami Sarvapriyananda that karma tends to be the more popular one because that's based on action, which is your action towards life, to people, and through your work. I do believe as well, which I can see that, and devotion also. But devotions tend to be focused on one thing, which everything works towards, whereas karma can be like separate things. I do believe, as far as my understanding goes. So, balanced life and spirituality, I guess it's very hard to explain for me. But again, karma yoga, or bhakti yoga, I believe it was.
we live in such fortunate times that this both can be achieved at the same time. You see, imagine a person who's just eking out his living. He's got just enough money to pay for his food tomorrow. He has no time to think about spirituality or betterment or greater humanity. He's just surviving. And majority of human beings on earth today are at that stage. They are just eking out a living. So you're asking them to be spiritual is nonsense. You can't. You just make sure they are well fed. So we have to be very practical. But if we live in affluent kind of community, society like we are here, then this particular opportunity is available to us, provided we use it.
I'm so sorry to interrupt right there, but whenever he said in the society, and I do believe he lives in Britain as well, because I think she's Indian, but she has a very heavy English accent as well. Oh, not heavy. As I hear the English accent, so she definitely grew up in England. Anyways, I think he's saying that we're blessed that they live in a society that, you're not having to worry about survival as much. But I think, and it should be a blessing, honestly, but it ends up, for a lot of people, I think, but to some people, a curse more than a blessing, because they don't appreciate the fact that they're no longer having to survive. They end up finding other problems. Because survival is no longer a problem, it seems like humanity has to find another problem. Once survival's done, let's find another problem. Like Sadhguru said, survival done, 100 problems. Oh, or hungry, 1 problem. Not hungry, 1,000 problems. Which is very true. Stomach hurting, problem. Because of solving problem of hunger, I got problem of stomach problem. 101 problems. and that becomes the problem. It's the sheer fact that we're not grateful for not having to survive, so we end up being a bit, I think, what's the word? We are unappreciative of things that we've got. I guess that's the best word for now. There's another word, like cocky, in the sense that we think that because we have things, or we can afford things, or that we have certain, like, the latest and greatest iPhone, or the latest greatest, cars or whatever, that we end up being so cocky because we're not surviving anymore. I think it's more we don't appreciate the fact that we're no longer surviving, and it should be the fact that we should appreciate and that we can become more spiritual, but it's more along the lines that we're fighting other problems.
Now, is there anything wrong with them? Sometimes people, vilify the secularist lobby, saying you are just thinking about yourself and money and this, you horrible people, monster. It is not true. Every individual, every human being is unfolding spiritually in the mode that suits his own temperament and his own background, even his social background. In a way, dictates to him how he unfolds. Allow for it. Don't stuff it out. They all, how do they unfold? initially they'll say, okay, I'll look after my own interest, make money. Is there anything wrong? No. If they don't make money, they are a burden on society. Let them make money. Hopefully some money will come to society as well. So first thing, allow them to carry on. But then how do they expand their activity to become more spiritual? Very simple. We do it automatically. See, when we look after our children, it seems to be that, we have to do it. It's like our most important ambition. So the initial idea was to just look after myself. Then I say, okay, I look after myself, I look after my partner, I'm married or I'm living with somebody, and then it expands further and say, no, now I've got children, so my attention must be drawn to the children, so I must spend enough amount of time for my children. Sounds so nice, doesn't it? This is natural spiritual growth. You don't focus yourself as I, me. You focus on us, family, children. And it should be expanded to say people of an older generation too. In our tradition, this was natural. It has been lost. It is not only look after your children. It is how you look after your elderly people in your own family. This is the beginning of spiritual growth. So when I see a family member who's just keen for him and his wife and his children to go to Disney World, I say, I'm not very happy with you. What are your parents doing? Oh, they're in the council estate. I said, do something, my boy. This is wrong. In fact,
so the humanitarian part also comes into
naturally.
it.
And again, I give a simple litmus test. It's very important to put it across. If you look at any individual, see amount of time they spend for their children, nothing wrong. This is spiritual growth. And the amount of time they spend with the elderly family members, compare it. The amount of time and money they spend. This immediately shows the level of spiritual growth. A person who is becoming more mature will spend almost the same time for his elderly family members as he would or she would for their own children. This shows spiritual maturity. So every family in its own way in affluent societies are unfolding spiritually by expanding the people they call their very own. So it may be family members, children, adults, but then expand it further. My friend, you are still too mean. I say it's too mean. You want to be spiritual? Expand the activities to look after the greater good. So it's okay, I'll look after my community, I'll do this community service, I'll join this adult education the group that Ashoka works with. So you start expanding your activity to look after the greater good. So you start doing more philanthropic activity, not because something is imposed on you, is written by your religion, because you just feel like doing it. This is the natural, organic way of spiritual growth. Not something imposed on you, not something that's prescribed, but you can't help yourself. That's the reason why you do it. This is when you hear somebody say, I can't help, but when I see this, I must do something. I say, you are on the right track. And this is how you grow.
So this is a spiritual side. But what about ambition? Because, there are times people feel that, in order to have money, a person who's living a spiritual life should not enjoy money, for example, or there is some kind of something against the money. But if you look at all the greatest spiritual leaders, from Osho to many, many more, they all have such a fantastic lives. They have Rolls Royces, they have fantastic ashrams which are built, they have homes in every single country you can think of, and they're still doing good work. They're still trying to spread, perhaps spiritual knowledge to the public, but actually they can still become very rich along the way.
Okay. I will not talk about Osho. I'll leave him alone.
Just an example.
I will not really use that example, but let me tell you about how this happens.
Yeah, the spirituality and the ambition.
Okay, you see, in fact, our tradition is very well thought out. You may be surprised to hear these things have been well thought out over thousands of years. These are 4 aims of human life. First one, it says, dharma means be spiritual. Means always focus on something which is non-material, higher aspiration, ideals, ideas. Focus on that, whether it's music or dance or drama, as you are doing. This is a way of focusing on something higher than just being an animal. So focus on higher ideal. This is the first aim of Hindu life. It's called dharma, simple word. The second word that we use, and Hindus sometimes don't realize it, is called artha. Create wealth, my friend, create wealth. Otherwise you are a burden. Make money. Make honest money, but make money. Otherwise you are a nuisance to us. So making money is not to be vilified ever in our tradition. It says make money, more the merrier. But the third one says, very interesting, it says, again, you may be surprised, it comes out of the Hindu tradition. It says, kama. Kama means fulfill desires. Now, Aniji said, this sounds like nice, Mr. Lakhani. I saw that man walking in the street, a horrible man. I wanted to smack him. And if it was my desire, I said, no. Fulfill legitimate desires. Means desires that are accepted by the greater society. You were to work in society. So fulfill legitimate desires. See the difference? Some religions will say, bottle up your desires. You are not allowed to have desires. You are spiritual beings. Don't bottle it up. You become a psychotic case. You would be rescued from a mental home. So we don't do that. We say fulfill legitimate desires in a harness manner. This is the key word we use, a harness manner. While you are fulfilling desires, be awake, be aware that, okay, I love this cake, I eat it, and I'm munching it, so nice.
Yes.
But be aware of it. The more you become aware of it in a legitimate manner, in a very harness manner, desire will stop bothering you. It will start kind of receding, gently receding without you having to push it down. This is how you grow mature as a human being. So dharma, artha, kama are sensible ideas, but the fourth one is a killer. Because it says, this is where the spiritual element kicks in. He says, but my friend, have you noticed one thing? When you fulfill one desire, three more arise from God knows where, and there's no end of them. And I thought, if I can fulfill just these three desires, I will not ask for anything ever. Every child will tell you that. And you know that never happens, even for adults.
Yes.
They multiply.
It's ever-growing. List is ever-growing.
They multiply. Not only they grow like a weed, like a virus. And in fact, this is the case of the modern society, the modern world. You just mentioned the word Kali Yuga. This is how I define Kali Yuga. Not saying 1.5 million for Sat Yuga and Treta Yuga. I don't believe in that. This is not rational. The only definition of Kali Yuga that I can subscribe to is this. Somehow we live in a very frenzied lifestyle. Have you noticed? The world is becoming a very frenzied lifestyle. So what we are doing is we are chasing after desires. When you fulfill one desire, it's like a spike, go, yahoo, and then it disappears. You bought a new car, whoop, for 5 minutes you like it, that's gone. Then you say, oh, somebody's crashed it, you are in trouble all the time now. So every desire we try to fulfill our lives, fill our life full, make our life feel fulfilled, they seem to be just spikes, sharp spikes, like go on holiday. I'll give you a real example. I go on a cruise, I go in the seaside, there's Bahamas, wherever, and I sit on the sand and the sun is out and wow, things are so lovely. That lasted 5 minutes. And then I said, now I am a vegetarian, where do I get my lunch? And I was struggling for the rest of the day. So this kind of, the kind of spikes you get does not fulfill your heart, doesn't give you that satisfaction, the continuous satisfaction you are searching for.
So this,
Before she says something, yeah, that is very true. Like, again, you can see this very much with rich people, where, again, to buy, I don't know fancy product names, because, Calvin Klein? Porsches? I don't know. Fancy cars and expensive stuff. I don't know any of the names. I think I know some, I just can't remember, but oh god, I can't remember like the person's names. Anyways, but yeah, they buy these things, and then you see a lot of them have like a whole bunch of different clothes. You even see some people with like a room full of clothes, and they go in there, it's like, I got nothing to wear, I need new things. They're never satisfied. They buy something new that they like at the store one day, the next day it's trash. They don't like it anymore. It's their desires are unfulfilling. They're trying to fill in this hole in their I would say hearts, but there's this hole in them and they can't. And it's just because they are not appreciative of the things they've got. And I think that is the biggest problem, honestly. It's appreciation for things. I might have to add that to my list of way of life. Responsibility, understanding, appreciation. There we go. Add that to it. And I think appreciation makes you enjoy life a lot more, I do believe. Responsibility giving you power, understanding giving you knowledge, appreciation giving you fulfillment. Because if you don't appreciate things in life, even if, like, for example, brand new pen, appreciate it until it's out. I don't appreciate it. It's not really that. But like if you buy a brand new pen, it's like, oh, it's nice, then you're right, and all of a sudden it's like, oh man, it's only half empty and I want a new pen, kind of deal. It's like you're not appreciating it. So that's another thing in life. Like he's talking about how buying cars, houses, and whatnot, they only last 5 minutes, and then you want the new house, a new car, new phone. And I think that's another thing. I guess another way of life that I add to my list. That is appreciation of things. Like I would love to go travel somewhere and just go out and have fun. I mean, obviously you have to understand that eventually when you do everything in that place, it's going to be mundane, but it's still nice. Appreciate it. And I guess I like to believe I appreciate a lot of things. I mean, right now I'm buying stuff that I want to clean my car and clean my family's car. So I'm buying car products to clean my car and my family's car, and another reason why too, but I won't say that. Let's continue on.
The spiritual side you're saying, and this is like your everyday life.
Everyday life.
In a way, we could perhaps compare it to the Maslow's hierarchical needs, where right at the beginning stage, you want security and you want just basic needs. As we move up, there's maybe ambition and things for whatever you wish to pursue in your life, and to get some, I would say, appreciation and acknowledgement by others within community, and then you move up higher, and when you go to the point where there's self-actualization right at the top, which perhaps very few people get to, but that's when you want to give to the world. So during that time, you've looked after your family, you looked after the people around you, you've done things for the community, but you get to the point where you go within and you start developing on a spiritual level where you're still helping humanity in a way that you don't even have to be forced to, not because you want to look good, not because you want awards and special recognition, just because your love and kindness and compassion that's already oozing out in you. So I can understand that side, definitely. That's very interesting.
You see that this is desires are not to be vilified. They are showing, if you like, our unfolding. And desires appear all the time, popping up all the time, keep needling you non-stop. And this is the sign of Kali Yuga. You live in a frenzied lifestyle and equate it to fun lifestyle. And because society imposes it on you, the advertisement agency will impose it on you, you have nothing else to do but to subscribe to it and literally kill yourself in the process. So the final state, the final aim of Hindu life, it says this is a spiritual element. It says, look, my friend, you've been doing it throughout your life, okay? You're in your middle age. Now, have you sorted yourself out? You say, no, I've got so many things unfulfilled. And my wife is begging me, I want to take her to this holiday. So what's happening? Once you become mature enough to realize that this idea of trying to fulfill desires in the material sense, chasing after material objectives or even social objectives, saying you must become president of this and that does not seem to fill the hole that I possess, that I have. That doesn't satisfy me, doesn't give me the fulfillment. So when that maturity arises in an individual in a very natural manner, then time has arrived when he enters the fourth aim of Hindu life, which says end of delusion. It's called moksha. Moha means delusion and kshaya means end. So when you say this thing is kind of like a virus stuck to me, is not solving my problem, I need to rise above it. That is, if you like, the stirring up, the spiritual element stirring up, saying it is not your personal fulfillment, your personal enjoyment, your worldly enjoyments. There's some deeper dimension to reality that you need to subscribe to, engage with, and that is where you automatically feel. This is a wonderful thing I've noticed. When I see somebody is doing some philanthropic activity because he is expecting some return, like Bhagavad Gita says, don't expect returns. When you start expecting returns, you become a slave. Then you are tied to your objective, and it's not that you kind of struggle. But if you say, really, because I can't help myself, whether it produces a result or whether I get benefit, doesn't matter. I can't help myself but help others. What can I do? Second path is the right one. The first path is, in a way, still chasing after worldly desire to somehow come to an end to it, and there is no end to it. The reason is this. The reason why, this is the whole foundation of Buddhism. In fact, that's why there is a tremendous resonance with Hinduism and Buddhism. Buddhism starts with this whole idea that the real source of suffering that humanity kind of undergoes is unfulfilled desires or frustrated desires. Just analyze our own lives. The clutter we have possessed, we have got in our subconscious is, if you like, unfulfilled desires or frustrated desires. We are full of them. We'll fill up this whole room in no time. So we are full of this, and only way you can stop this process is simply to rise above desires, not to just bottle them up or stop them or try and fulfill them. It won't work. The reason is this. The reason why you desire, this is the teaching of Hinduism and resonates with Buddhism, is because something was missing in your system and you're trying to fill this blank by looking at worldly objectives, saying, if I have big car, big house, I'm sorted, my society applauds me, and I got this honorary title, this is what I'm looking for. When you are trying to fulfill this kind of inner hole that you have, vacuum that you have, by chasing after worldly desires, you get frustration, guaranteed. But when you recognize that the solution to my problem, the hole that I possess, is not because it can be filled by material desires, it has to be something different from material aspirations. then the maturity is arisen. Then you see what happens. You actually start to recognize, try and come to terms with regarding your true nature, which is trying to fulfill itself. The reason why you are whole is because you are essentially a spiritual beings, and you lost track of that. And you think you are a material being chasing after material objectives, and that will stop you, that will give you frustration. When you recognize you are a spiritual being, so material desires are not your cup of tea anyway, they are a different dimension, then desires drop off. You don't have to fight them, they drop off. Do you know how I know?
How?
Every spiritual giant that you produce in ancient and modern India, everyone lived in that particular state. They walked about as if they owned the whole universe. They were like master of the universe, and yet desired nothing from it. This is the sign of a truly enlightened person. He walks as if he's in the charge of the whole creation, and yet doesn't desire, because once you start desiring, instead of being a master, you become a slave.
To it, yes.
And the only way you can rise about is to recognize your true splendor, resplendent self as a spirit. And when you don't just look, I talk like this, you may think, oh, sounds so nice and warm, but unless you actually experience it, you don't know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I totally understand what you're talking about. I understand that completely. And it's very true. And what you talk about, I am 100%, I can agree with this, definitely.
Oh, real quick, and this is something I've said about words too. Again, like when people get into arguments or fights or whatever, especially when you go to a bar or hang out or whatever, when someone's trying to offend you by calling you names or whatever, if you let that word or that person offend you, he won over you. You have become his slave. If that word does nothing to you, you have mastered it. You have not given in to what he said. You know, and I was thinking this, like, I guess the worst offense you can give to someone who's trying to insult you is like, I'm sorry, I find it hilarious. I'm sorry, I'm not offended. I apologize. I was trying to, but it's not working. You could try harder, though. I don't know. I'm being stupid here, but yeah, like I try not to be offended, of course, and so far nothing. I don't think anything has offended me. Also, I don't think anyone's tried to offend me, so I wouldn't know. I'm generally nice to people. I really work pretty decently with people. No one's mad at me that I know of. I mean, it could be behind my back, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I doubt it, honestly. But anyway, let's continue on.
And, we talk about this way you walk the path, and you walk a spiritual path in such a way that it's in our performing arts, what we say is somebody tries to be an actor. But the other one walks in, and without them saying anything or being anything or doing anything, they already look like stars. And there's some presence about them, there's some magnetic energy about them that comes through, that they don't even have to pretend to be somebody so great. So you will find people like Amitabh Bachchan who comes in, as soon as he walks in, and there is a very impressive energy that comes through. He doesn't even have to say, I'm Amitabh Bachchan. And even somebody who didn't know him would still feel that presence. And if somebody else who's a newcomer was really trying to prove themselves, would try to create a lot of fuss around them, want to attract a lot of attention and all sorts of things, just to make themselves feel like, look at me, I'm a hero, I'm a heroine type of thing. So I think I understand totally what you're saying in terms of spiritual people. When they walk forward, they just do their things. They're normally very humble people anyway. They could do amazing, extraordinary things, yet for them it's just life. They're just moving forward and doing the best they can.
Aniki, one thing I must add on, because you touched on it but you didn't develop it. I think it's important to develop it for our audience, is this. In reality, sometimes we think aesthetics, means chasing after things which appear beautiful to us, whether it's in music, art, dance, drama, poetry, literature. You may think these are like side activities for human beings, just to pass their time, just to hobby. In reality, it is not so. These aesthetic activities we engage with, like Ashok loves music, is a signal of spiritual growth. Because what he's doing is, this is what I said, you don't live for worldly objectives, you live for higher ideals, higher principles, higher aspirations. So music doesn't give you any money. I hope, well, maybe you do. but the thing is, the fact that you love these kind of artistic expressions, art, music, dance, drama, is your speciality, music and so on. All these aspirations are in a way showing you are stirring up as a spiritual being. You're not happy with just the worldly life. bread and butter. You're looking for higher aspiration through all these activities. And why not? You are in a way unfolding spiritually without the tops and tails of religion. So be it. So this is something that's again a speciality of our tradition. We do not see human beings as some special beings put on earth to exploit the earth. See, this other traditions do that. They say, okay, human beings are special creation by God so that you can exploit animals and the physical world. We don't say that. We say the whole world is the expression of the spirit. The physical creation, the galaxies, the universe, the earth is nothing but the expression of the spirit. That's why we give holy names or sacred names to rivers and mountains and stones and everything. So we see every expression of divine. Yes. Now this was an ancient idea, but it's now being revisited by these lovely ideas of ecosystem, trying to balance the needs of the world with the needs of not to exploit earth to such an extent that we destroy ourselves. So it's being revisited through, if you like, through strong economic reasons, where we need to kind of get the world in order and get rid of the greenhouse effect. But we are revisiting the idea of giving sanctity to the whole of this universe that we exist in.
I think that's absolutely right, because they say as above, so below. So if we look at it as whatever's happening in the earth, we're actually experiencing it. If the earth has very bad pollution, then our health will be affected, right? So there's always that effect, and the creativity that we speak about. I believe, again, we spoke about consciousness earlier on, and that again is a way to bring in your consciousness through and use that consciousness to create. And that creation, if it has a very high powered consciousness, will create joy in somebody else who will just look at it or read it, or just they feel that energy that comes through. As we talk about the Mona Lisa, for example, somebody goes and paints it, somebody goes and views it, and suddenly they feel this energy that comes through the Mona Lisa. And there's nothing very special, let's say. But in the same way, if you see somebody who's very creative and are really connected to the God, or let's say the energy that uses them as a channel, then when we look at this painting or we listen to this bhajan, it will bring such a beautiful, uplifting feeling to you. So I think that absolutely is right. So we're coming to our final question with the time.
Can I just add one thing?
Oh yes, of course.
Sure. You see, the way you define, this is the way I'm very naughty. I do this kind of my own personal.
You are definitely very.
I do this personal litmus.
Mischievous.
I do litmus test. The way you judge a spiritual being is very simple. When you encounter a spiritual being and his face lights up, he breaks into a smile, not artificial, like that, but he just breaks into a smile just because he can't help himself. Yes. This is a sign of a person who's already on the spiritual path. When you meet somebody whose face becomes screwed up and you meet him, that means, he's going to step on my toe, I will step on his toe. He's doing business with you. He's not a spiritually enlightened person. He's very much a commercial man. So this is the simple, I'm telling you, yes. When you meet other human being, just immediately you meet them and their faces light up, you're on the right area. Yeah. And when they get screwed up, run away.
Well, they say one aura connects with another aura, so you feel the energy rather than so somebody, you may be able to not judge somebody by their book cover, let's say, but you will definitely be able to judge them by the energy you feel if you become intuitive, enough. Sure. Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. We have one final question here for you. We talk about the Guru Tattva. We talk about various elements of the world. We talk about, air, fire, earth, and ether, and all these different elements of the earth. Many years ago, people would, and even now, people did Surya Namaskar, and they bow down to the sun because the sun gives you that lovely life force energy. So I find that people definitely connect with the elements. And many years ago, paganism and all these various different types of faiths that would be there, or religious paths, people would use this to connect to the earth or to the higher powers. What do you understand by the Guru Tattva? Okay. Because the element of the Guru.
Okay. It's a lovely story of Guru Dattatreya. That's a very beautiful story. Now, you see, Dattatreya did not learn his spiritual knowledge. He didn't get his spiritual knowledge from any but individual, a guru. He learned it from the nature that he was encountering, through the nature. Again, in some of the Upanishads, we find that the teaching did not come from any inspired individual saying, I'm your guru. It came from nature itself. So, for example, in the Upanishad, you'll see the fire spoke to this young boy. The fire, never speaks like that. But what happens that the fact that in youngster was kind of in a way, able to kind of encounter fire and see fire is the expression of the spirit, Brahman, then he becomes enlightened. So even the world that we encounter is not mundane, it's not ordinary at all, it is extraordinary. The only thing is we need the eyes to see that the extraordinary nature of the reality in front of us. So every aspect of reality becomes our teacher. Because then you are seeing, you are being kind of in a way all the time being prodded by the world around you to recognize the spirit that underpins reality, including this stone or this river or this mountain. So in this lovely way we say you can, in a way, provided you are ready, the student is ready, even this very mundane physical world will become the guru, become the teacher of that individual to enlighten himself. Enlighten.
I will say, what I do, I don't necessarily look at like rocks or elements and whatnot. My study is humans. That's weird. Like, again, I guess I refer back to Guru's books on inner engineering in the very first few pages of the book. Haven't got further into it yet because I'm waiting. But talks about how he sits there and looks at leaves and analyzes it for hours on end. Me, I do that with humans. I don't look at them for hours on end though, but I just, as I go and do my job, I talk and interact and I observe everything about them. How they move, they talk, their eyes, their speech, how they sound, pitch, and all of that. Again, because I'm observing them, that doesn't mean that the first time I meet someone that I know everything about them. I get the first impression of them, how they present themselves this way. And the more and more I get this impression, as I interact with them with different problems, solutions, topics, I get this complete picture of this person. I get an understanding. I think most people do this, but they're just not quite aware. They don't quite grasp the complete human being necessarily. They do grasp certain things, they pick up on certain things, but not quite all of it. And this is what I try to do.
Right, that's a very, very interesting way. And what about the gurus? Because we find that we've heard stories in the past where when you sit down, when you meditate, when you're learning spiritual growth, spiritual energy, you get knowledge and things like that. Do you consider this as a guru element? Is this also a guru element, or is it a guru? Are you talking about the guru within yourself?
I would pay a greater emphasis on guru within yourself for the simple reason that gurus outside are suspect.
Okay. Oh, is that right?
Not only suspect, they are downright, I'm telling very rudely, they are downright crooks. I'm telling you, majority of gurus in the Indian subcontinent or even outside, vast majority, I'm really not exaggerating, 99.9% are suspect. They are either self-deluded, and you can easily make out. They kind of have airs about themselves, they are spiritual masters, and when you really analyze their teachings or their verbal presentation, you can straight away make out this guy is just waffling. So there are some self-deluded gurus who either hide behind very colorful narratives, Purani stories, or they might hide behind their intellectual capacity to analyze every shloka of the Bhagavad Gita and give it 3 interpretations. Wow, so clever! Or they might use this kind of some gimmicky way, using a bit of humor and a bit of kind of sidestepping the question and promote themselves. These are self-deluded gurus. We have loads of them in the Indian subcontinent. I won't mention any by name. We've got enough problems. And there are some who are out to delude others. And you've seen those names come in the newspaper.
Yes.
They are out to delude other human beings. Poor gullible Hindus who will swallow anything in the name of spirituality without soul. They'll just swallow it. So there are always these kind of charlatans in the system. That's why when you mention the word guru, I shuddered straight away, because I know that vast majority, I might promote them indirectly, so I don't want to do it. I'm saying, be your own guru.
Is there any that you guys know that are fake gurus? Or I guess the more popular one? I'm curious. I maybe might react to one if we can find a story behind one, and I can react to the video, of course. But I didn't realize there's like so many. But then again, I don't know how many is out there. The only ones I know of are the ones that I've reacted to. I'm trying to get more gurus to react to. That way we have a wide variety of gurus that could teach you one way or another, or explain things in different ways, so that we have a complete understanding of the subject matter. Because again, I don't think I'll ever stick with one guru because I don't like. I would like to hear the perspectives of many different people and then formulate my own interpretation of what all of them interpreted of that thing. And then of course, not only that, but also personal experience, obviously. And the way I experience the world is through tools, or like my own tools as well as tools from other people. I'm not saying that they're right or I'm wrong or I'm right and they're wrong, but it's more of a combination. The more knowledge obtained to understand something, the better, I do believe. And by watching many different gurus, I obtain a lot of knowledge. And I include that knowledge into my own interpretation with my own faculties to come up with my own solution or answer to the question.
The inner compass you have is the best thing you possess. You don't underestimate the inner compass you possess. Focus on your inner compass to make spiritual progress rather than any external guru. I'm telling you bluntly.
So how do you, because of course there's so many gurus around, and many years ago in history and things like that, you found that every kingdom had their own gurus that would teach the princes and all the royal kids and children about how to be, what to do, and then put them onto a path when they become self-sufficient themselves. How do you recognize a good guru then?
You see, in ancient times, I'm being very frank, when I look at some of the ancient gurus like Vashishta and Vishwamitra and this lovely Valmiki, all this, these were genuine personalities. When you look at their life stories, it immediately impresses you. There's no artificiality, they are not self-deluded, they are not out to delude others, no commercial motivations, you can immediately make out they're genuine. But then you see, the system we had of trying to focus on a guru to try and guide us has been compromised. It has been hijacked by charlatan elements, because the world we live in is highly commercialized, and so this wonderful guru parampara that we had, this kind of lovely idea, has now been hijacked. So my particular work is to warn the Hindu public to be very aware that the gurus that they might perhaps trust are perhaps not that trustworthy.
Right, I understand. No, that's really important, because you have to look at both sides as well. It's not just about gaining knowledge, it's about gaining the right knowledge. And it's also about giving a bit, what do you say, walk the talk. It's about walking the talk and not like behind the curtains doing something else. So I understand that. So from this, I just wanted to say, Mr. Lakhani ji, I thoroughly enjoyed discussing these topics with yourself. I'm sure we'll be getting a chance to talk about many more topics, and I hope you don't mind sharing your wonderful knowledge with me and myself, and of course all those wonderful viewers out there who are listening right now. Again, I just wanted to summarize that we spoke about this fantastic information about creativity, spirituality. We talked about how ambition and spirituality can go hand in hand. We spoke about, of course, the guru elements, how it's important to help develop our own inner guru. And that will police you, that will tell you, that little voice will say, don't do this. Yes, go ahead and do this. And really encourage people and viewers out there to walk a spiritual path which will help them become more soul conscious. And becoming more soul conscious may be another topic on another day. But what exactly is the soul?
Haniji, you in this short kind of period, you really kind of in a way encapsulated most ideas that I possess. There's nothing more I can offer you.
I'm sure there's plenty more. There are libraries and libraries of books, and I'm sure all that knowledge is in your head and brain right now, which we will be able to, I think, dig out bit by bit. And actually, people who are very learned and knowledgeable, I really salute them, because I think they should be honored. Their knowledge needs to be, I would say, somehow encapsulated somewhere and kept so that future generations can also benefit from this wonderful knowledge. So again, I know you've done great work and you've got years of experience within this field. So of course, my aim is to get as much knowledge out from you as possible that we can share, which I can learn from, and I'm sure other people can also learn from. So thank you, Mr. Lakhani ji. Thank you for sharing your wonderful knowledge today.
Thank you, Aniji. It's a real pleasure interacting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I thought of something what I wanted to say, but I can't remember it now. But I will speak on the last portion about the fake gurus and how I study humans, I guess you could say. It's weird to say I study humans as though I'm an alien from outer space, but I won't say that. But no, it's kind of like the more people I interact with, I learn certain mannerisms, how people talk. I learn about different things and subject matters, and then on top of all of that, I think everyone should be able to do this, and I don't think there's nothing special about me in this. I just think people are just being unaware of these things. And you pick up on certain things, on certain bad behaviors, or certain clues that doesn't seem quite right. And that's what I'm curious. Like, and that's the reason why I kind of asked about the gurus, the bad gurus, because I want to see and hear what they say, what they do, to kind of, I guess, obtain more knowledge on what to look out for in life. Because yeah, I mean, I guess some of the videos where you see, like said guru, where there are people going after him, he seems very genuine. Now, I don't know what he does in his everyday life, so I can only pick up on a few things that I can see on video, but then you could also say on video he's going to act proper. I don't know what it's like outside of video, you know, I don't know what it's like outside of watching his videos. I don't know if he's a good person or a bad person, but based on the videos and based on the movements he's been doing, he seems like a very good person. And again, that's just based on me speaking on what I've observed through the internet, so that's not a lot, but it's enough. Then you have also Swami Sarvapriyananda, which, you know, I mean, he's a good guy. He's a very good teacher. He preaches, he practices what he preaches for the most part, I'm sure. And he's very knowledgeable in quite a lot of things, apparently. I can't speak much about Osho. I've only seen very few videos, or really, I miss watching his videos because he's like the harsh uncle that I think we need as well. We need a little bit of the harshness out there. But again, just watching and observing people, seeing their mannerisms, how they present themselves, is just something that I study in particular. I don't know why, just what I do, I guess. Anyways, that's my reaction to Consciousness Part 2 with Honey Kiralia. Lakhani. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.